paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot belly goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house.
I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah, you effin' with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet, come take a dive. And continue along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like, a lot more vulgar.
I keep that thing on me. God damn it, Bobby. They see me selling propane and now they trying to copy. Pretend to be broke, but I got hella cash. If you use charcoal, I'ma kick your ass. Made this money from propane, bitch. I feel like Pablo Escobar, but I don't sell cocaine, bitch. Shot that fella cause he didn't make his payments. Fuck with me, I keep a rocket launcher in my basement. Made this money from propane, bitch. I feel like Pablo Escobar, but I don't sell cocaine, bitch. Shot that fella cause he didn't make his payments. Fuck with me, I keep a rocket launcher in my basement. Oh man, goddamn, I caught Bobby jacking off. Syrup ain't no cough. Big Hank, break the law. Lady Bird, that's my dog. Peggy got that wet, I flip you like a tech deck. Yeah, I run my set, I'm running up them checks. If you using charcoal, that's a red dot at your head. Propane till I'm dead. bitch, I'm off the meds. We be smoking loud, and you smoking on mid. Me and Dale getting lit, and I'm running from the feds. Made this money from propane, bitch. I feel like Pablo Escobar, but I don't sell cocaine, bitch. Shot that fella cause he didn't make his payments. Fuck with me, I keep a rocket launcher in my basement. Made this money from propane, bitch. I feel like Pablo Escobar, but I don't sell cocaine, bitch. Shot that fella cause he didn't make his payments. Fuck with me, I keep a rocket launcher in my basement.
Your dreams go down the drain. Come on, wagey, join the crew. Don't you want your wages too? And if the boss man makes you blue, you deserve it, you're a screw. Can come round after ages. You can come collect your wages. Through your bodies have your rages. Then get back to your cages.
Yeah! It's another Beat Read broadcast. Let's go! How you doing, chat? How's your day going? I hope you slept well. I hope you feeling hype. It's Saturday. Oh yeah. Oh god. I'm as far away from work as I can possibly be. Saturday morning, baby. Alright, we got a great stream for us today. We going deep into the ninth, all through 9 levels of hell. Hope you're feeling fine. Hope you got some tea or some caffeine or even just water. Water's pretty based. I stand for the H2O. Yeah, we got a good stream. I'm excited. I'm hyped up. We're gonna dig deep into the Uvalde, Texas school shooting, and we're gonna look at this changing story. What are the cops doing? And we also have an actual interview with the brave parent who went in and saved her kids. Some of the first information we're getting on what it was like in the school. So I'm excited. I'm happy the Depp Heard arc is over. And yeah, that's gonna be a great stream. You're here for it. I'm here for it. I'm excited. We got some Nintendo music to follow this up with. And yeah, let's get into it. All right. Okay, so a lot of the news is revolving around a Texas senator. And we're gonna read about it, but then there's actually, I got lined up the full clip. It's actually pretty evocative. So all right, let's go, everybody. Wee. Okay. So this is from Associated Press. I always like to start off with kind of like a baseline of information here. According to the Texas senator, the school police chief didn't know about the 911 calls. This was like a question that was asked again and again. Like the kids were calling over and over again, send in the police. And the one who was in charge of the situation, who is like the chief of the school, just didn't know. I don't know, kind of sussy. The commander overseeing police during a shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, was not informed of panicked 911 calls coming from students trapped inside, and it's unclear who at the scene was aware of the calls as the massacre unfolded, a Texas state senator said Thursday. I'm going to kill that music. That's a bit too jarring. Senator Roland Gutierrez said it was a systemic failure that school district police chief Pete Arredondo received no word of the pleas for help from people inside Robb Elementary School on May 24th. How is this possible? Quote, I want to know specifically who was receiving the 911 calls, Gutierrez said during a news conference. His voice often cracking with emotion, the Democrat who represents Uvalde said no single person or entity was fully to blame for the massacre. Wait, what? But Gutierrez said Republican Governor Greg Abbott should accept some of the responsibility for failures in the police response. Quote, there is error at every level, including the legislative level. Greg Abbott has plenty of blame in all of this, Gutierrez said. 19 children and 2 teachers died. Okay, we know about all this. And we're going to go check out that in full. But CNN had an interesting article that I thought was really fascinating. This is the changing story. May 27th. Wait, what are you doing? Okay, let's just like refresh this. Let's like do a full refresh. May 24th. The shooter was engaged by law enforcement as he entered the school. Nope. May 25th. The shooter didn't encounter anyone on his way into the school. May 25th. Officials say the gunman was in the school for 40 to 60. Nope. The gunman was in the school for more than an hour. 40 minutes to more than an hour. They came up with a plan. They entered that classroom and they took care of the situation as quickly as they could. Nope. Officers waited for more than an hour in the hallway as the gunman continued to shoot inside. Like 2 days later. It was the wrong decision, period. There's no excuse for that, end quote. May 27th. Okay, they like spit that out way too quickly. Okay. All right. Okay. How law enforcement's narrative of the Uvalde massacre has changed. Since 19 children and 2 teachers were massacred in Uvalde, Texas, authorities have repeatedly changed the story on what happened before, during, and after the bloody siege in 2 adjoining classrooms. The May 24th, man, such strong language. The May 24th slaughter at Robb Elementary School marked at least the 30th shooting at a K-12 school. Whew! So far this year, and the deadliest school shooting in nearly a decade. Now mourners are tormented by shifting police narratives and the horror of knowing victims were trapped with a gunman for more than an hour, despite repeated 911 calls for help from inside the classrooms. Here are some of the key details that have changed. Oh, wow, there's 7 entries? Bro. Did the gunman encounter anyone outside the school? He engaged with the school police officer. He walked in unobstructed. We covered that on this stream. How did the gunman enter the school? He entered a door propped open by a teacher. The teacher closed the door, but it didn't lock, and like that person said, they're full of grief. Did the killer post his plans online? He posted messages on Facebook about 30 minutes before the massacre started, and now he sent private messages, DMs. Yeah, that was something that was interesting. From less than an hour to more than an hour, 75 minutes. And why didn't police? The suspect was pinned down to it was the wrong decision. Oh my goodness gracious. This doesn't look good. This is what they say, this is what they call a bad look in the business. I've been in the business for a long time, and that's what they call it. Okay. Next bit.
Mike, I have to ask you about this because we have been asking this question since
Warning, MSNBC.
the night that it
Lib shit.
happened, and that is that police since Columbine have learned that you do something differently now in active shooter situations. There's not likely to be a negotiation. You're not likely to get a negotiator. These perimeters don't tend to help. Most people get shot fairly early on. Some get shot later, but you need to go in, even at risk to yourself, something that is very counterintuitive for those of us who are not trained as police, but is supposed to be intuitive for police. What?
I think I heard they're gonna do like some like a day training for police. For teachers. I misspoke. No, they want to train teachers. Yeah, that makes sense.
Happened? How did Uvalde miss this, and who else in America may have missed this memo that the entire active shooter protocol is different now?
Yeah, and part of my question was, were they trained on that exact protocol? And they were as recently as 2 months ago. That was the training they were focused on.
Yeah,
the first priority is to go in and stop the gunman. You may need to lay your life on the line to make that happen because the priority is saving innocent lives. It's we still have lots of questions for the chief about what the decision was, why he made these calls in the hallway there, and they're really important questions to hear what he has to say. The general impression that law enforcement has given that he transitioned the scene from being one focused on an active shooter to one focused on a barricaded subject, someone who is inside.
It just sounds like he turned tail, like he's yellow bellied. Just sounds like he got shook, cold feet. Call it what you will.
The room and
if that's all that's required for police to essentially not save kids is just to be like flip a switch, like, oh, okay, I'm too afraid, I don't want to take responsibility, I'm just going to consider this as a new situation, damn the facts, and apparently the legal system will protect them in that.
Maybe there was a process to be more deliberative at that point.
Paula, it is remarkable because I was there right after it happened, and it was a town. It's a small place. People know each other. It was filled with grief. And literally every 6 hours, that grief started turning to anger and confusion and frustration. And what we didn't know initially, and we learned at least a day later, was that the parents had been in confrontation with the police since the moment they heard that it was happening. There had been arguments with the police about how to handle this, and the parents were starting to feel very, very alienated, and now have been left to wonder whether their children would be alive if the police did what the police were supposed to do.
Yeah, we got an interview with one of the moms lined up. It's really weird.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the only direction this story is evolving towards, right? How this anger and grief and pain is turning into all of these parents in the community wanting some form of action. Just today, I talked to one grandfather who lost his granddaughter, and he had the same two questions that everyone in the community has in this moment, right? And that is, why did this gunman have access to an AR-15? And then the other question that keeps coming up is, why did it take so long? And as you know, Ali, you were here. Within 24 hours, the first thing you notice is how every single person in this town is just 1 degree of separation from the incident, right? Every single person, everyone I've only been here for 24 hours. Everyone knows someone that has been impacted by this. So the central question I have is, again, how will this anger turn into action, right? How will this one small Latino and immigrant community be able to change the direction of the state? The tension, though, that you feel and that not a lot of people are talking about is that this is a small town, right, that is within a county that overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump in 2020, right? He did 6 points better in 2020 than in 2016. So again, will this small Latino community and this one voice be able to change the larger political dynamic?
She's basically saying that they're politically irrelevant, like they're swimming upstream. That's not a good
dynamic.
In
sign. What many have already described as Trump country.
Can you just tell me a little bit more about that? Because there are many people in Uvalde,
Al-Qaeda and Trumpistan. Oh, geez.
And around southern Texas who are many, many generations American. They're Latino heritage, but they've been here for hundreds of years. And then there are new immigrants, and there are some undocumented immigrants. It's a very mixed.
We're skipping on that. Let's go to the. Oh, not this. The actual speech. Look at the scene. This is such an intense backdrop. Like, imagine having to take the mic in front of this. Like, holy shit. So we're gonna listen to the Texas Senator Roland Gutierrez, who I believe is a Democrat. Texas State Democrat. He is a Democrat. Yeah, he's a Democrat. He's a damn. More lip shit. Is the mic on?
For my own part, I need to transition more to making sure that my constituents have the resources that they need going forward. We have obviously seen a lot of stumbling blocks and obstruction in this particular investigation. Probably one of the worst investigations I've seen just at about any crime scene in the last, I don't know how many years, certainly in the state of Texas and beyond. I don't put that on anybody in particular. I put it into some of the failures that we're seeing and that we have seen and you've experienced right along with me. First, I want to talk to you a little bit about the governor's special committee. Then I want to talk to you a little bit about the mental health issues that are facing this community going forward. And lastly, I'll get into the technical, some of the problems that occurred, the systemic and human error that occurred in this particular investigation that I think that you'll find new evidence that I've uncovered.
Still hasn't mentioned the guns.
That's what you're most concerned with. Let me tell you that for the people...
I think the part I'm still struggling to get my head around, and I don't know if this is true, I think it's true, but that you have to be 21 to get a handgun in Texas, but you can get an AR at 18?
If there's any newspaper folks here from Uvalde, we will be opening our district office here on Monday. Carlos Lopez from your community will be our...
He's holding a press conference there to demand that DPS report about the school shooting. Let's listen in.
They're like, this is boring. Let's just give some
that we
context.
maximize the victim assistance grants that are available through local, state, and
Okay,
that
we
they
don't care
turn
about grants.
over, but we have to give them the maximum amount of money that they can get under these programs so that they can move forward. It is simply not fair that we
it's
ask
the
mom
money.
and dad to go back to work after they bury their children.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair.
And so with that, I'll begin with Governor Abbott, as you know, yesterday called a special committee to do much of the same analysis that he's done in the past.
Oh boy, we're gonna investigate ourselves, everybody. Oh, ring around the
school
rosy.
Safety, investigate firearm safety. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Investigate protocols. We've seen this show before from Greg Abbott, the same round tables that he did after Sutherland Springs, the same recommendations that he issued after El Paso, and the same concerns that were levied after Santa Fe. We've seen this show over and over again, and yet again, he has refused to do the right thing, which means getting us into a special session. The state of Texas meets once every other year, odd-numbered years, and we meet for 5 months.
Wow.
In the 18-month interim, the 19-month interim, he can call us back at any time for a...
We have been listening to state...
Wait, did he just say they only... Wait, they only work half a year every 2 years? That is wild.
Senator Roland Gutierrez in Uvalde. We do have a crew at that scene, and we'll hear from them later.
These newscasters are like absolutely
in our afternoon
ruining
newscasts. We're gonna
listen. A committee that's not going to be able to do much of anything, I don't need to be too much of a part of, but I was assured by the governor that I'll be allowed in and so on to ask questions that I need to ask. I don't blame him for honoring a specific request of the governor, but I do consider it a slap in the face to the people of Uvalde. They didn't have their representative there. A slap in the face to the people of El Paso, whose senator is not going to be engaged in that dialogue either. And the people of Santa Fe near Houston, whose Republican senator was also not invited to those particular special committee hearings. The facts are that there are 8 Republicans on that committee and 3 Democrats. 3 of those Republican members are recipients of NRA A+ rating awards.
A+ war. I love that, like the generation that hated on participation trophies literally are all clamoring for grades from a gun manufacturing lobby. It's amazing.
Greg Abbott, like those members, like you know, exactly what happened here.
A+.
They know exactly what system failure happened here, what human failure happened here.
That's it. Call them out.
And they know what policy legislative failure happened here.
Talk about the
We all
guns.
have the knowledge we need. What we lack is a governor with the fortitude to do the right thing on a problem that is staring him square in the face.
The Frosty the Snowman is really... Maybe that's not
Leadership
Frosty.
is doing the right thing regardless of the fault. Clearly in Texas, over 6 and now 7 massacres, we have a lack of leadership at our Texas Capitol.
You meet
When my
half a year every 2
Republican
years.
constituents call me and ask for common sense gun solutions, like raising the age from 18 to 21, I tell them, call the guy you vote for, Greg Abbott. I urge you to do more of that.
Nice. Republicans will fix this, everybody.
We have 2 Republicans, one in the House, one in the Senate, that have called for a special session.
There's such a weird cycle where people just have accepted in the body politic that Republicans act as a unit and are absolutely unwilling to compromise on anything. It's always a foregone conclusion. Just like, well, if we had 10 senators in, U.S. Senate, or 10 Republicans in the Senate, it's such a I don't know. It's like the words that come out of an animal when it's been stung with poison and it's paralyzed, and it's still able to talk, but it's not able to move or do anything. It's like the rhetoric of paralysis.
Each high-ranking House member, Kel Seliger in the Senate, who's called for it. So we have bicameral, bipartisan support for a special session, not a special committee. And yet here we are, standing in place as we did after Santa Fe and Sutherland Springs, El
Yikes.
Paso,
Oh,
and
man.
Midland, Odessa, doing the same roundtable discussions,
Woo. Yep.
leading to no solutions. We have a senator in Ted Cruz that keeps talking about the one-door policy. I'm pretty sure you all know how ridiculous that is.
Yeah,
And I'm
amazing.
pretty sure our local fire marshals will have something to say about that.
Amazing.
The fact is, we don't need Greg Abbott to do anything. He needs to do one thing, and that's call us back into that building. He doesn't even need to sign the legislation.
Like, talk about having no power. This man's a senator for an entire state, and Texas is not like a small state or anything, and he's powerless because the Senate isn't called into session. Amazing. This is the best he can do. He can't even like talk on the floor to like put his comments, his politics, his constituencies' views into the record.
He could just let it become law and blame it on us.
Oh man, America's so broken.
Today marks 74 days. 74 days from the beginning of our school start. That's one day closer to our children not getting the help that they need in their schools, not getting the assurance and the safety and the reassurance going forward.
I might have to break this up.
As to the $2 million that I've asked for this community, I have asked 48 hours after this incident occurred for Greg Abbott to fund the Community Health Development Incorporated Clínica del Barrio, a clinic here in the barrio that serves 11,000 of the people of Uvalde. He has not only not honored that commitment, he has not even called to discuss it.
I'm going to be honest, I hate both sides. They're two, my sides fight, yours is wrong. Sorry, I'm going to be honest, I hate both sides. They're two, my sides fight, yours is wrong. My side's right, yours is wrong. I would say that the idea, like, think of it this way. If you're getting bullied at school, it is in the bully's interest to convince everyone that it takes two to tango. That the victim of the bullying is at fault for being victimized by the bully. So it's always important to think about that when two people are in conflict. Is it possible that one person or one side of this conflict is trying to convince me that this is all, all fair in love and war? Because the right wing are going full fascist, in my perspective as a Canadian, and the evidence is January 6th. Won't shout it loud and hard enough. And so, from my perspective, the right wing has a vested interest in convincing anyone and everyone that all's fair in love and war, even when more kids die to firearms than cops. That gun legislation issue it's not possible in the political realm. That's perverse. That's something that breaks society. So when you see something like that, that should be an indication that someone's the bully, that someone's doing the bullying, because it's pretty that's why it's called common sense gun legislation. It's like stuff that's worked in other countries, etc. So yeah, I think I would caution you about being too convinced that this is a both sides issue, that this is a us versus them. There's very much a deterioration of the American empire into a possible fascist state, and it's very concerning. It's very dangerous.
In stark contrast, the Lieutenant Governor called me immediately to offer his condolences. I have been working with the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, on how to make sure that we get the most of our victim assistance programs to these families, and we'll continue to work with the Attorney General's office to make sure that happens. We're not going away. We're not going to let these kids be forgotten. And we're not going to let Greg Abbott run out this clock and wait till you all leave this beautiful town.
Man.
I urge you to keep this message going forward. And
Who would have thought that running out the clock would be such an effective political instrument, such an effective cudgel, over and over and over again. Running out the clock kind of works.
I urge you to keep having the people that watch your media networks calling the governor's office and the lieutenant governors and asking them for the most modicum, the minimum of gun sense solutions. Because now I'm going to get to the third thing, and the thing that I know you want to hear about most, which is the failures that happen here. My job as a state senator is to try to get accountability, and most importantly, to try to get for my constituents the resources that they need moving forward. We need transparency, and that hasn't happened here. We've had several press conferences from the local entity of law enforcement, which is DPS, the Department of Public Safety.
Very dodgy.
We've gotten some answers, and we've gotten some bad answers.
And it might be worth rewatching that clip of the biker gang that was helping do security and pressing up on a journalist who was going to the funeral to go like observe. So it might be worth rewatching that. That was very unusual.
We've gotten information that the next day turns to be different. We've gotten we've got fingers pointed at teachers. We've seen that teacher's now been vindicated.
True.
She did indeed remove the rock from the door and close the door.
They tried to blame teachers. Like, that was the knee-jerk reaction. Like, not only are teachers so incompetent that they don't even know how to lock back doors, but we should arm them. Amazing.
The door functioning did not function properly. We've seen a finger pointed at the local ISD police chief.
Yeah, here it is.
And certainly, I think that Mr. Arredondo, whom I do not know, has a lot of responsibility to bear here, as does every law enforcement unit that was at that property, at that school.
Yeah, almost 20. More than a baker's dozen.
My conversations with Colonel McGraw, he has affirmed that same concern, that law enforcement failed here, not just Officer Arredondo. My specific questions have been this: who were the 19 officers in that hallway?
Yeah, right.
And I suspect, I was told that I would get that information on Friday. As of yesterday, I was told that I might not get that information on Friday because the district attorney has asked that that information be withheld because of her ongoing criminal investigation.
Oh.
At the end of the day, I don't believe that the logistics and the situation at hand has anything to do with the criminal investigation at hand. I've made that very clear to Colonel McGraw.
Wow.
As of 2 hours ago,
sounds like a
he
cover-up.
told me that I would still get that information tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
Once I get that report, I will submit it to your news agencies so that you could know which 19 officers were in that hallway.
Bro.
And what officers were outside.
People are going to find out.
I have also asked for radio transmission reports, but I doubt that those will be forthcoming anytime soon.
I've heard some reports that like the police scanner like blew up in popularity and a lot of people were listening in.
Take it upon myself, and I think that this will change your understanding a little bit about some of the circumstances. And the fact is, we haven't been told this. Before I tell you this next piece, I've asked Colonel McGraw and others to simply pull this Band-Aid off and let us know everything that went on.
They did something wrong.
Regarding, of course, the sensitive nature, because we don't want to shock families.
What's the money?
We need to know what law enforcement was doing.
What's the money?
What radio procedures were followed or what not followed. Who were the 911 operators and such. And so here's what I know about 911. We were told last week that Officer Arredondo was the recipient of 911 calls. And I believe you could nod in the affirmative if that's your understanding. That he was the incident commander, and I heard in one of these conferences that he was the sole recipient of 911 calls.
Okay.
According to the Commission on State Emergency Communications, who monitors all 911 agencies throughout this state, the only 911 responders in this community, or the call centers, if you will, they're called public safety answering points.
Public safety.
In this instance, it was Uvalde Police. The state authority does not know who Uvalde police was communicating the 911 calls to.
Wait, what?
What we do know is that the 911 calls were not being communicated to the so-called incident commander,
Bro, what?
Officer Arredondo.
Excuse me?
They were being...
So the calls were coming in, and somehow it's an open question. What happened to those calls? Did they just sit on it? I'm just like, wow, man, this is really not going well. How could they not tell the incident commander? That's
communicated to a Uvalde police officer, and the state agency that I have spoken to has not told me who that is. From that point, Uvalde PD has 17 different dispatches that they would make to a list of 17 contacts. The state authority does not have that list, but DPS is one of the people on that list. My last remaining question on 911 calls is who is receiving the 911 calls from the little boys and girls? Is it just PD or is it these other entities? I was told that it was just PD.
Wait,
I
what?
think that's an important point.
Sorry?
Listen, I'm not blaming the Uvalde PD. I'm not blaming the ISD cops.
How would you sit on that,
or
though?
the troopers, or anybody singularly. Let me correct that. There is blame enough here to go around. There was human error and there was system error. Systemically, some of you have asked for radio transmissions. Systemically, we live in rural Texas, where different counties and different entities contract with different radio companies.
Okay.
And we don't have them talking to one another on one uniform system.
Of course.
That's an absence of leadership. Starts at the top. It starts with the legislature.
Texas infrastructure strikes
Everybody's
again.
to blame for what went on, including
Is
Greg
it
Abbott in a
infrastructure
very big
week
way.
already?
On some level, even including me.
Oh, God.
Who didn't yell loud enough. I'll hold for any questions that you might have.
Questions.
In that hallway with the 19 people, have you gotten any information about who was the officers that were in the hallway? I would assume there would have been Uvalde.
Here, let me boost this. He's talking about the 19 police officers. Like, have you gotten any information?
The first report that you got was correct. There were 7 officers distributed between Uvalde PD and ISD. But I don't recall if it was 4 of one and 3 of the other.
Okay.
My biggest concern was at 12:03 when there was 19 officers for 45 minutes in a hallway that didn't do anything.
Yeah.
My subsequent
What?
question was how many DPS officers, and last week I was told 2.
Look at her
As
nodding
of
in the
this week,
background.
I've been told that in that period of time, it was between 2 and 13 officers fluctuating in and out. I expect this report tomorrow, and I hope I get it after this communication to you, that will shed light on exactly what agencies are here at that time. You got to understand that as a policy maker, I have particular concerns with a policy that has spent $4 billion along our border.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time and effort
Whoa.
taking immigrants down to a facility where no one knows where they are, where they sit in jail for 6 months at a time, 7 months at a time, while
True.
Texas taxpayers are paying for them. We have our own little mini Guantanamo Bay.
Wow. Ho.
And yet
Full
all
send.
that law enforcement that's here to give tickets and gather up those folks didn't adequately perform.
Yeah.
And
Did
I
a
love
job.
my state troopers, I really do. I think that the guys that I know are really great people, and as a body, I think that they're a body that really cares.
Cop worship isn't gonna work here.
Steve McCraw and I have shared a lot.
Even though like he's doing the knee-jerk cop worship thing, he just described the border as Gitmo. He fucked up. He in terms of like ever reaching across the aisle, he is like, this Democrat's coming for our guns.
Tears together on the phone.
Oh God, get it together, Texas.
We have all failed. There's been a lot of failure here.
Yeah. This is the first
the
time we're
one
seeing
family that I-
like actual emotion from a man in leadership even Beto, when he confronted Abbott, was pretty, like, he did have an emotional outburst actually afterwards, so that would count. Sorry, but yeah, here's I guess another, and if you notice, it's on one side of the aisle again. Oh geez.
I've
Something
spoken
about
to
empathy.
Shot daughter was shot one time only, who likely bled out. I can only say we are sorry.
Yikes.
But before I answer the next question, I suspect, and I urge you, to not allow these people to hide behind a district attorney investigation on
Right.
procedural matters.
Right. Wow.
Do not allow
Wow. Wait, what?
to hide behind a district attorney investigation on procedural matters.
That's what he meant about, like, he can't get information because it's part of a criminal investigation. But the criminal investigation is only about procedural. Oh my God. Oh, those dirty. Oh, that's so insidious. If I understand correctly, like, it's like a nothing burger investigation, but it allows them to hide the information.
Do not allow anybody, do not allow
Yikes.
this governor to hide behind the local district attorney on these procedural failures, on these policy failures,
Interesting.
under the guise that we're looking at a criminal investigation.
Oh, wow. No shot.
Keep
That's
this story going
dark.
because we need change. Yes, sir.
So just to confirm, you're under the impression that Arredondo did not know that there was 911 calls coming from inside of
I'm
that
not under the impression. I was told specifically by the Commission on State Emergency Communications. My question specifically was, does the ISD police officer on duty know about the calls? I was specifically told no.
But wait a second,
Interesting.
So we don't know that Arredondo wasn't hearing that on other officers' radios or chief.
I have no doubts that Arredondo was the so-called incident commander. I have no doubts about that. I'm telling you that he did not have privy, and I'm not covering him, by the way.
What I'm saying to you is we don't know what the chief of the Uvalde Police Department. We're assuming he was on scene. Is that you know if he was on scene?
You're assuming he's on the scene. Do you know he's on the scene?
I do not know. As you know, the local police are not accountable to me.
Huh.
Only
Yeah, of
the
course.
state troopers, agencies like the Commission on State Emergency Communications, just like you've been investigating and tracking people down. It is sad that I have had to do the same.
Right.
It is sad that I have had differing answers. I expect and I hope that tomorrow, that not only that they give me a report, it's my hope that they come out here and give you one final briefing on everything that they can and pull this Band-Aid off so you can all go home.
Nope. Let's cover
But
up.
they can at least tell you there'll be a final report a year from now. But they should tell you what they know now.
Wow. Oh, it's a full-on
And
cover-up.
I'm sorry that I have so little to be able to tell you, and the only new light that I can tell you is that 911 calls go through PD, and that's something that you haven't been told.
Okay, so that's the new information. That's what we care about. And he basically just drew a line under it, which is that, exactly as it says, that the 911 calls did not get through to the state, to the situation commander. And then also he's getting different answers. That was pretty evocative, actually. I don't know. It was pretty intense. Okay, we're going to move on to the sumptuous piece of the segment. This is such a wild interview. Sit up in your seat. Uvalde mother breaks her silence and reveals that the Uvalde police officers handcuffed and arrested her for trying to save her kid's life during the school shooting. It's one. I can barely even. It's wild. It's wild.
Right away, as I parked, U.S. Marshals started coming toward my car saying that I wasn't allowed to be parked there. And he said, well, we're going to have to arrest you because you're being very uncooperative. I said, well, you're going to have to arrest me because I'm going in there, and I'm telling you right now, I don't see none of y'all in there. Y'all are standing with snipers, and y'all are far away. If y'all don't go in there, I'm going in there. He immediately put me in cuffs.
She says after Uvalde police officers told marshals to uncuff Gomez, she ran towards the school.
As soon as they uncuffed me, I jumped that first gate fence, and once I jumped it, I went to my son's class, and I knocked on the door, and I remember the teacher saying, I'm like, hey, they're already bulge cutting the fence to get me. She's like, you think we have time to get out? I said, y'all have time. I'm going to run for my other son.
Once she was assured her son was okay, Gomez ran to get her other child, encountering more officers who tried to stop her.
So I start yelling, and I'm being a cooperative, and I'm like, well, y'all aren't doing what are y'all doing? Y'all ain't doing y'all need to be in here. Give me your vest. Somebody give me a vest, something. I started paying attention to how far the shots were being, so that I knew the shooter was all the way still by my first son's class. So when I went to my second son's door, the teacher didn't want to open the door for me. So that's when they started escorting me out. And as I see that they're opening my son's door, I go run for my son and I get him.
With both of her kids out safe, Gomez still can't shake the thought of those who didn't make it.
While you were inside the school, did you see officers
there was
inside
not one
the school?
Officer inside the school when I ran to my second son's class. There was not one officer.
That is such an that's an important piece of information. Wait, there were 0 cops in the hallways? Excuse me? Can you say that again?
And you were hearing gunshots, so you knew
you could hear the
it was
gunshots.
an active shooter.
It was still active. The gunshots
Also
were still
important
active.
information.
They were not in there. There was no one in there. If anything, when I pulled up, my car was closer to the school than where the snipers and everybody that was laying on the ground were.
When you heard that it took law enforcement 75 minutes before they went in and stopped the shooter, what was your thinking, having been inside the school yourself?
I don't know. I was just thinking that they could have saved many more lives. They could have gone into that classroom and maybe 2 or 3 would have been gone, but they could have saved the whole class. They could have done something. Gone through the window, sniped them through the window. I mean, something, but nothing was being done. If anything, they were being more aggressive on us parents that were willing to go in there. And like I told one of the officers, I don't need you to protect me. Get away from me. I don't need your protection. If anything, I need you to go in there with me to go protect my kids. And if anything, they were being more aggressive on us. They were more pertained on keeping us back than getting into that school.
Wow. Wow. What a crazy interview. Just absolutely... It just casts the story from the police in such a different light. She's like 100 pounds, 5 foot tall. Went in, no vest, no gun. Got the job done. Like, come on. So, I'm not sure if we can watch this. I don't know if Legal Eagle copyrights his videos or not, but we'll see. If not, we'll move on to the next thing. But he's going to clarify how legally the police don't protect you. He's probably going to cover the Supreme Court cases.
By now, I think everyone has heard of what happened in Uvalde, Texas. I'm not going to go into detail, and new facts are coming to light every single day. But one thing it seems is certain is that the police, to put it charitably, did not act in a way that most people wanted them to act. By all accounts, there was a very long delay between the time that the police arrived on scene and when they took action to stop the shooter. So, people angry at the tragedy are asking, can the police be held legally responsible, not for their action, but for their inaction? And I'm not going to hide the ball on this one. The answer is almost certainly no.
Yeah,
but
wild.
The reason why might surprise you, because most people believe that the police have a legal duty to help.
Nope.
And unfortunately, according to the Supreme Court, that is not the case. While their motto may be to protect and serve, the police have absolutely no duty whatsoever to help anyone that's in trouble.
Cool.
Now, normally this would be the part of the video where I run through the factual summary that gives rise to all of the legal issues. I'm not going to do that today because honestly, it's just too hard. But these are important legal issues, and this is one of those videos where it's not about what the law should be, it's about what the law is. Now, we've talked a lot on this channel about the difficulty in suing police for the things that they do, the mistakes they might have made. Qualified immunity generally protects police officers unless it was clearly established that what they did was unconstitutional.
This is like my favorite loophole in the American justice system. It's like anytime a cop does something new and depraved, he's reached new lows of depravity just by being creative. People are like, yeah, that's cool because no other cop has been charged for doing that. So nice. There's no laws against it. You do you. Go deep.
There are all kinds of controversies in this doctrine. This is not the video for those particular questions. But the question presented by the Uvalde shooting is different. Here we're asking whether government officials can be sued for actions they did not take. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled twice that government actors like police and social workers actually have no duty to protect anyone. This precedent was established in 1989 when the Supreme Court decided the case of DeShaney versus Winnebago County Department of Social Services. In that case, in 1982, Joshua DeShaney was a 4-year-old boy living with his father, Randy, in Wisconsin. Randy had primary custody of the child and had recently gone through a second divorce. Joshua's stepmother told the Winnebago County Department of Social Services that Randy abused his son. Randy denied it, and the county took no action to remove the child. However, in 1983, Joshua was seen at the ER for bruises. The ER doctor notified social services, and Joshua was removed from Randy's custody for a few days. Randy wasn't charged, and the child was returned to his custody.
Oh my
God. A social worker was assigned to visit the home. And in 1984, the social worker visited the house 20 times, noting that the child had bumps, bruises, and injuries on his head. The social worker also documented that Randy failed to attend his regular counseling sessions or enroll Joshua in preschool. And during this time, Joshua ended up...
Is this the system working? Like, I don't understand.
...in the ER twice with suspicious injuries. The social worker said that she feared for his life but took no action to remove him from the home. And unfortunately, in March of 1984, one day after the social worker's visit, Randy beat Joshua so hard that he fell into a coma. Joshua had severe brain damage and was permanently paralyzed.
What the actual fuck?
The state then placed Joshua in an institution where he would remain for the rest of his life.
Whoa.
Joshua DeShaney's mother sued the Winnebago County Department of Social Services, alleging that the department had deprived Joshua of his liberty, interest in bodily integrity in violation of his rights under the substantive component of the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause by failing to intervene to protect him against his father's violence. Now, the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment declares that no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. DeShaney argued that the county had a responsibility to protect Joshua because it knew Randy abused him. The social worker had tracked the abuse on paper for over a year.
A year?
DeShaney argued that through the social worker's visits, the state had established a special relationship with Joshua that created a responsibility to protect him from known dangers.
Seems legit.
Then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, William Rehnquist, wrote the majority opinion, which found that the Due Process Clause only applies to states, not to private citizens. Since Randy was the one who beat his son, the court reasoned that the state didn't directly cause Joshua's injuries. And the majority also rejected the argument that the state made Joshua more vulnerable. The purpose of the Due Process Clause, quote, was to protect people from the state, not to ensure that the state protected them from each other. The court held that the 14th Amendment did not grant any citizen a guarantee of, quote, minimal levels of safety and security. The court also said that people have no right to governmental aid. The court held that the Due Process Clause would only apply if the state had assumed custody of a person against their will and then failed to provide for their safety and general well-being. Justice Brennan and the two other dissenters saw it another way. They believed that since the state had acted through the social work department, they assumed the responsibility for the child's safety. The dissenters said that if the state had never intervened, then others in Joshua's life, like his mother, might have taken other actions to get him away from Randy.
Also true.
And basically, in the DeShaney case...
Yeah, like it's such a simpler argument. You can see the majority opinion is like twisting itself into knots to make it make sense. And then the dissent is just like, but wait, doesn't the state have the monopoly on violence in order to protect people? It's like, no. What? No.
What happens is that a mother is worried that her son, who's in the custody of the father, is being abused by the father. She goes to the police. They send social workers out. A social worker visits 20 times, sees lots and lots of evidence of abuse. Ultimately, the social services doesn't do enough, and the child is horribly and permanently injured by the father, in large part because social services allowed the child to remain with the husband. Now, there are obvious differences between what happened in Uvalde and a social worker who fails to remove a child from a violent parent. But that takes us to the 2005 case of the town of Castle Rock, Colorado versus Gonzalez, where the Supreme Court applied the same rationale to a case involving the police. Now, in that case, Jessica Gonzalez had asked for a restraining order against her estranged husband. There was a Colorado law that made domestic violence restraining orders mandatory whenever one party felt threatened. And the state trial court issued an order prohibiting the husband from seeing Miss Gonzalez or their 3 daughters unless it was through a pre-arranged visit. Now, just 1 month later, the husband kidnapped the 3 children. Miss Gonzalez had direct evidence that he had the kids because he confirmed it on the phone. She begged the police to search for her husband right away since she violated the court order. Now, the Castle Rock Police Department told Miss Gonzalez that it could do nothing and told her she had to wait until 10 p.m. to see if her husband brought the daughters home.
Why?
At 10 p.m., the police told Jessica to wait until midnight. At midnight, she went to the police station to beg them to arrest her husband.
Why
An
midnight?
officer took the report and then went to dinner. A few hours later, Gonzalez's husband went to the police station and opened fire. Police killed him in the melee. And when they searched his truck, they found the 3 girls dead in the back. Gonzalez's husband had murdered all 3 that night. Miss Gonzalez sued the Castle Rock Police Department for violating her due process rights. And the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals found that she had a, quote, protected property interest in the enforcement of the terms of her restraining order, which the police had violated. But the Supreme Court reversed that decision, ruling that Gonzalez had no constitutionally protected property interest in the enforcement of the restraining order, and therefore could not claim that the police had violated her right to due process. Justice Antonin Scalia wrote the majority opinion. He reasoned that the state law didn't entitle anyone to mandatory action by police, even though the issuance of the restraining order was mandatory under Colorado law. Restraining orders provide the grounds for arresting a person constrained to the order, but that doesn't mean that the recipient can force the police to act. Scalia wrote that under the Colorado law, police have discretion to decide whether to enforce an order, and if so, how they would do so. The court concluded that...
Again, just like empowering cops, just giving them as much discretion as possible. And they were wrong, and they're being rewarded for it, essentially.
Quote, since Colorado had not created such an entitlement to mandatory action, Gonzalez had no property interest and the due process clause was therefore inapplicable. The court ultimately concluded that unless a legislature specifically said, we're creating this right and if we breach it, the private citizen can then sue the government, then the citizen is out of luck. And as one court put it, quote, law enforcement officers often consider themselves responsible for protecting the public and deterring criminal activity. However, the legal doctrine that specifies the legal duty of law enforcement officers holds that they have a duty to the public, but not to individual citizens.
What the fuck does that even mean? What does that mean? Is the public not made of individuals?
This is what's known as the public duty doctrine. The doctrine means that the officers don't have a duty to protect citizens from harm by a third party. In other words, there is no clear duty to protect individual citizens. Now, that being said, the DeShaney decision recognized 2 possible exceptions to the general rule that the state has no duty to protect people from harm. The first is what's called the special relationship exception, which holds that the Constitution imposes upon the state a duty of care towards individuals who are in its custody. As is usually summarized, quote, when the state takes a person into its custody and holds him there against his will, the Constitution imposes upon it a corresponding duty to assume some responsibility for his safety and well-being. So when the state has a special relationship with someone, there may be a duty to protect. If this relationship exists, the state official must take reasonable steps to ensure the safety and care of that person and to safeguard them against foreseeable risks.
Right.
However, most courts say that the only time the state forms a special relationship is through incarceration, institutionalization, or other similar restraint of personal liberty. And most courts reject the theory that people waiting to be rescued are in police custody and control. This is particularly true in the Fifth Circuit, and perhaps the most analogous Fifth Circuit case is Salas versus Carpenter, where a county clerk was taken hostage at the courthouse by her abusive boyfriend. And during the hostage negotiation, the sheriff ordered that the city SWAT and hostage negotiation teams leave the courthouse. He then replaced them with county personnel not trained for SWAT or hostage negotiations. The man killed the county clerk. And the Fifth Circuit sided with the sheriff, finding that he did not violate her constitutional rights by using untrained negotiators. The court said, quote, generally the absence of a special relationship defeats any due process claim based on a failure to provide protective services. The victim was not held in state custody or otherwise prevented by the state from caring for herself.
This literally means that police have more of a duty to protect alleged criminals suspects in a crime, then they have to protect Joe Schmo and Jane Smith. And if they make obviously bad decisions, like this one, which happened in a long time ago, before I was born, it seems, then like, what the hell are cops for? It's just to feed their own system. It's just to churn the wheel of justice so that they can feed the prisons. Like, this is such a perverse perspective.
This was a failed rescue effort. And it's easy to see how the Fifth Circuit, which covers Texas, would probably make the same call in the hypothetical Uvalde case. The police were doing something. They were securing the parking lot and stopping parents from getting inside where they might get hurt. And just because the effort failed and failed badly probably wouldn't change the Fifth Circuit's analysis.
Oh, God. Police are empowered up to and including catastrophic failure.
But under the DeShaney case, there is a second exception, and that is called the state-created danger exception. And under that theory, some courts have recognized that state officials have a duty to protect individuals from harm when their actions created or exacerbated a danger to that individual. But here it seems like this exception wouldn't apply. The police didn't help, at least not in the way that most people wanted them to help. But at the same time, they also did not create the situation itself. Now, those of you that have been paying attention might have come up with a legal theory that might differentiate what happened in Uvalde, Texas from the prior precedent. And that is that children are mandated to go to school. Often, those schools are provided by the government. And in this case, this massacre occurred at a public school. So aren't the children within the custody of the government? And doesn't the government then have an obligation to provide for the health and safety of the children, especially a school that has a police officer and a school district that has its own police department?
That's the part I don't understand. Even just like, sorry, I'm from a first responders family. I support them, but there's no excuse for what happened in Texas. Yeah, like this, honestly, Merzinski, should be like a unifying moment, right? Like, especially when it comes to kids, there's just like a thing there in most adults, which is just like, how do we keep kids safe? And so a lot of, like, I would hope political identifications would dissolve. And like in Canada, we don't wear the stripes of our parties as much as America does. There's not as much polarization. But still, even in a place like America, you would think you could unify over kids.
Well, it's complicated, but it probably doesn't turn out the way that you might want.
Wait,
because
what?
unfortunately, this is not the first time there has been a massacre on school campus. And a relatively recent case is almost directly on subject. Oh, no. And that is the case arising out of the Parkland situation.
No.
In late 2020, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals cited the Castle Rock and DeShaney cases and dismissed a lawsuit brought by the victims of the Parkland, Florida shooting at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Now, there, the students alleged that the county sheriff and deputies incompetently responded to an active shooter situation.
If I remember, the deputy just like kind of sat outside, just like straight up disengaged,
violating their due process rights. The deputies knew that the shooter was a danger to the community, and school officials had also known that the shooter was deeply troubled and had made threats. The plaintiffs alleged that the deputies had failed to intervene during the shooting, and they also noted that one deputy prevented EMS from providing life-saving care and blocking them from entering the school during the shooting. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which is one step below the Supreme Court, found that a plaintiff could only allege a substantive due process claim in two situations. First, when the person was in the government's custody, and second, when government officials' conduct is arbitrary or shocks the conscience. Now, first, the court held that the...
My conscience is shocked. Can we all just do the second one? Everyone's conscience is shocked. Let's fix this, please.
The children were not in police custody, and as far as shocking the conscience, the court held that in an active shooter situation, police have to make split-second decisions in the midst of chaos. In this situation, quote, an official's conduct will shock the conscience only when it stems from a, quote, purpose to cause harm. That means that a plaintiff can only sue if they can show that the government officer purposefully caused harm. If the police officer didn't intend to hurt anyone, then they can't be sued. And with
police are empowered to be cowards.
respect to whether the children were in government custody, the court held, quote, it is well established that school children are not in a custodial relationship with the state. A custodial relationship exists only if the government places limitations upon individual's ability to act on his own behalf that are similar in kind to incarceration or other forms of involuntary confinement. School attendance, even when compelled by truancy and compulsory attendance laws, is not similar in kind to incarceration or institutional confinement. Ordinarily, there are no custodial relationships in the public school system, even if officials are aware of potential dangers or have expressed an intent to provide aid on school grounds.
Schools are like, have all the trappings of being a prison for a young kid. You have to go to school. If you don't, the system like punishes you. And yet also the system has under no obligation to protect you from whatever dangers it's producing.
And in the Parkland case, the biggest controversy was about Scott Peterson, a Broward County Sheriff's deputy and school resource officer.
Yeah,
Peterson stayed outside of a school building for over 40 minutes as students and faculty members were gunned down. And the state of Florida charged Peterson with neglect under a statute that applies to caregivers. Now, this is generally a novel interpretation of the law, which usually applies to parents or adult household members or teachers. Now, Peterson will stand trial on this criminal case.
Really?
But the 11th Circuit dismissed the civil case against Peterson for the same reasons it dismissed the cases against other defendants. That these students were not in a custodial relationship with the officials, even the school's armed resource officer.
What?
A lot of people disagree with this particular ruling.
How?
And it can be solved with legislation. But as it currently stands, there is no inherent cause of action based on the Constitution that would allow parents and teachers and victims to sue the police for inaction at Uvalde.
Okay, help me understand this. Police do not have any legal requirement to protect kids at public schools. Even if they're hired by the school. Isn't there like contract law or something?
And unfortunately, that is the current state of the law. Now, if you'd like to actually do some good, one thing I can recommend is a company I work with called Tab for a Cause, which lets you raise money for the charity of your choice just by opening tabs.
Yeah. Oh, thank fuck. Tabs. Everybody. Tabs will solve the gun crisis. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize. I knew it was fucked up. I didn't realize it was that fucked up. Wow. Wow. Police have more legal obligations to protect suspects, people suspected of crime, than children in a public school. I still, that's how you know society's broken. When cops or when suspected criminals have more rights than children. Oh god, I can't get over that. Okay, we're moving on. Here's an example. I wanted to fire up your blood. This is a repost, but it's a pretty good example of just like what goes broken in cops. This is an awful video.
What?
Because I told you to.
You haven't have a reason, sir. You didn't pull me over. But you didn't pull me over.
Get the license out, or I'll hit for a backup, and I'll take you out of the car.
Call your supervisor.
Call your
supervisor, sir.
Get your driver's license out right now.
Call your supervisor.
Get
Please call your supervisor, because you had no. You're not pulling me over, neither.
You get your driver's license out right now. Show me ID.
Look at that badge. It's like in the fabric of the shirt. It's not even a badge.
What do you need my ID for, sir?
Just noticed that.
Well, because you want to run your mouth to me.
No, because you was looking at my license plate. For what?
Exactly.
For what?
You
don't have the right to run this.
I got my rights to do anything I want to do. I'm a police officer.
You can't run
There it is. There it is, everybody. There it is. That is the boiled down version at the core of many police.
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
I'll pull you over and I'll tow your car.
You see, he said.
Driver's license out.
So he's not getting a supervisor. We requested a supervisor. I don't mind showing you my driver's license.
Show me your
but
driver's
what is your reason that you're asking?
Because.
Why?
Because you're acting suspicious.
About what? We was in there shopping.
I said, show me your driver's license.
What is the suspicion, sir?
Get your driver's license out.
You can't
Just
state
show
the
me your
suspicion.
driver's license.
Yikes.
That's all I want to see.
You're not explaining to me. You didn't pull
I'm
me over.
explaining to
You
you.
jumped out your car and asked me, did I want to?
Investigation.
What's the what are you investigating?
Look,
You
get
just
your
see me in there
driver's
shopping.
license
I
out.
paid. I paid for everything that I bought.
Get your driver's license out.
Sir,
Show me your driver's license. If you don't got no warrants or nothing, you're gone. I don't have no problem.
What is the reason
Here's
that you're
your
stopping
driver's
me?
license. I'm not going to argue with you no more.
I'm not
If
arguing. I'm trying to understand
Show me your
something.
license.
What's your name, officer? That's all I want. Because we're following
Show me your driver's license and you can
You
go.
will give
We
the
asked
name.
for a supervisor. You denied us that.
I'm not going to get a supervisor.
I'm asking for your name.
I'm off-duty employment.
You're off duty?
Exactly.
Yep.
Off-duty employment.
Off duty.
If you're off duty, then why are you stopping people?
I'm stopping you because you're suspicious.
Why are we
This is-
suspicious?
This is like how power. This is why you got to ask questions.
Well, what'd you come back around for?
Because I want to know
No,
you jumped out of the car on us because we
Exactly.
looked at you.
Because I don't know what you guys are doing. Now show me your
You don't know what
driver's
we're
license.
doing? You just seen
Show
us
me
shopping.
your driver's license.
Old man gets
You know,
confused.
look, you see all these bags in the back of the car?
Tries to
We
arrest
just came
people.
out of the store seeing you, so you
Show
know
me
what
your
we're doing.
driver's license.
You know
Sure.
what was
Scary,
going
man.
on
Yep,
because
I
I
get
know he couldn't really articulate what he was trying to say.
Yeah, as far as I know, based upon what happened, I don't think either of us have any reasonable suspicion to believe
Right.
that there's a crime taking place.
Right.
It says there's no reason for a traffic stop at this point.
Right.
So there's no legal requirement for you to identify yourself to an officer at that
Right,
point. So
right.
if you
Wasn't
don't wanna
even
give
an
him
officer.
ID, then you don't have to give him ID at that point.
And we tried to be calm and talk to him like that, and he just, I don't have to tell you anything. Leaning in the car, spitting all in the car. He's just, I don't know if he's having a bad day. His wife left him. I don't know.
Nah, he's just
I don't know,
racist.
but-
Guess is as good as mine.
But hey, man, I
Probably-
appreciate
As far
you,
as I'm
boss.
concerned, you
Probably
guys are good to go. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
take care, all right?
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and he gets fired. Okay. The system works, they say. That's pretty bad, man. I can't believe that guy was even on any kind of payroll whatsoever. Okay, moving on. Thankfully, despite all of the school shootings that are happening in America, there are experts who are trained to guide teachers to sort of like get them up to snuff.
Alright, so good morning. Welcome to today's team building event. Today, we're going to be learning what to do in the event of an active shooter. We're gonna bring in a special guest. She's actually an expert on this, and she's going to be leading our team building event.
Go.
Oh,
No, the expert.
this is Kaylee.
If there was an active shooter, you would all be dead.
Oops.
When you talk out loud, the shooter can tell where you are and where you're hiding. Sometimes we play the game who can stay quietest the longest, so we all remember. You can try and protect your friends by pushing the tables and chairs against the doors. You also have to put a piece of paper over the door window so they can't see in. And you can't cry. It gives away your position and your hiding spot. And if you're in the bathrooms, you have to stand on the toilet seat and crunch down so they can't see your feet and they can't see your head, so they don't know that you're in there.
That's crazy.
Try to listen for things that could help the police. For example, if you hear a lot of bangs like bang, 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 the shooter might be down the hall. Or if you hear louder ones like bang, 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 he could be right outside your door. If the shooter comes in the room, screaming won't do anything. You have to try and fight back. If you can't escape, we get taught the emergency window escape plan, where you have to break a window, put clothes over the frame, and climb through. Our teacher used to sing a song to make it easy to remember. Lockdown, lockdown, let's all hide. Lock the doors and stay inside. Crouch on down, don't make a sound, and don't cry or you'll be found.
The thing that fucked me up about that video, besides all of it, is that I came across that nursery rhyme like a week ago. Of course, I retweeted it or whatever. I was just like, wow, poetry. Look at this poem. Holy cow. What harbinger of doom. And then I don't know who produced this or like if they're all actors or what, but it's a very powerful message. So yeah, not a good sign, let's say. Moving on. Jim Jeffries everybody, let's follow the sadness with some laughing. So yeah, that's a pretty good point. Definitely better than a bad point. Okay, so here is the clip of this like biker gang like intimidating a journalist. I know we watched it yesterday, but it still gets under my skin. Several members of this biker club, Guardians of the Children, just followed, blocked, and surrounded me as I tried to approach the cemetery to meet a photographer. One member says they're working with police. They asked us to be here.
How's it going? How are you?
Doing good.
With Lubbock PD?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're Guardians of the Children. We're a nonprofit 501c3. We work with victims of child abuse, sexual assault, things of that nature.
Okay.
We're out here to provide a little bit of comfort and support for the families, help give them some space.
Sure.
Let them grieve in peace.
Okay.
So, we just thought we'd come out, help some kids, help some families in need. How you doing today? Oh man,
I'm sorry.
That's such a creepy turn.
Bump into me, dude.
I'm just trying to do my job, sir.
No, I understand, but
I'm sorry. Are you a police officer?
We're working with the police that asked us to be here.
You're working with police?
No. We are here to give the family space and time to grieve.
Well, I just got you on video saying you're working with police.
Over here by the main gate for the cemetery.
I love to see.
I definitely just saw him assault you.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
No. I mean, I'm just trying to walk that direction.
It's assault.
That's battery, bro.
Without permission, technically that's assault, and I'm a public servant, so.
Are you a police officer?
Oh no.
These are like the worst debate bros.
I'm not a police officer. I'm a paramedic.
Okay, got it. All right. Well,
but as a public servant, that's kind of a felony.
Look, I'm not trying to
kind of
disturb anyone, guys. I'm not trying to ask anybody any question. I just wanted to watch. Like, that's all we can do, and in a safe space, right? Like,
I understand.
You're gonna watch it and record it?
I'm not like, and I know.
The cemetery itself has put out signs that says they do not want.
These people are very, very creepy, very scary. Okay, so Channel 5 put out a video on the NRA conference. Couldn't be more well timed. So we're gonna check that out. And then I got a couple like odds and ends, just like culture vulture stuff. So let's watch this.
See, with our ARs,
I'm just gonna go to
we're
watch them.
citizens. Without them, we'll be slaves. They're not assault weapons. They're sporting weapons. It's necessary to protect my family from tyrannical government.
Why do you think there are so many mass shootings?
Because that's what's on the agenda for the left. They want to take guns away from law-abiding citizens.
Protesters pushed up against barricades, keeping them away from the NRA meeting site. It's tense. The pain of a national tragedy does not bridge divides here.
When was a shooter a member of the NRA? I want you to tell me. You can't, because it never happened and it never will. You're an idiot.
I believe you have the right to own a firearm, but I do not believe you should be 18 years old to be able to have an AR. When you use an AR, you're going to kill people. You don't go hunting for deer with an AR.
When the founding fathers defined freedom, they didn't think that ARs were going to be part of it.
Or black people.
Yeah.
Or people of color.
People of color.
And how about freedom? They want to talk about how we shouldn't ban guns because that's hurting our freedom. How about abortion? We're forcing women to have kids.
I see you have an Antifa flag right here. How would you describe yourself politically?
I'd say I'm a socialist. So I believe in taxing the church, taxing the rich, abolish the police. Police are supposed to protect us in schools, right? But in Uvalde, they didn't. When I get older, old enough, 21, I'm gonna own a firearm because I don't trust police to solve my cases.
Marx said in his Communist Manifesto that we should arm the proletariat. Just arm the proletariat to ensure that they're able to defend themselves.
Well, my sign asks a pretty obvious question that I think everybody should be asking. This is the right time to have a celebration of guns right on the heels of more than a dozen kids and teachers getting murdered a few days ago in Uvalde. This is ridiculous that we're the only country that has to deal with this, and that's what today is all about, is voicing our righteous outrage at our
most powerful country in the world.
Officials and the people at the NRA who decided to celebrate guns with blood on their hands today.
This time at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas.
We've just learned the death toll is up to 19 children and 2 school employees gunned down during their last week of school.
The shooter legally purchased 2 AR variant long guns within a week of his 18th birthday.
They're calling them AR variants to keep the Second Amendment folk happy.
Dude up there is tossing magazines out to the crowd. Give me one.
Nice. What the fuck?
We're here. We're in Houston.
What?
We're at the NRA convention. I think the mayor asked this not to happen. The governor pulled out, but it's still going down.
That shot, man.
The mayor asked this not to happen.
Oh,
the
that's
governor
fucked
pulled
up.
out.
That is a fucked up shot. That is a fucked up shot that they included that. I cannot believe
Convention.
it.
I think the mayor asked this not to happen. The governor pulled out, but it's still going down.
Wow. Yo, America, not even once.
Shooting an RPG is the ultimate Vegas poker experience.
Uh-huh.
It seems like a great idea at the time. It's really, really expensive, and it's over way too fast. An
Okay.
RPG is a rocket-propelled
Don't point that
grenade.
at the camera.
So anything that launches that, they either call an RPG for short or a rocket launcher. Within the past couple of months, Airtronic did sell off about 30 of our older models through Gunbroker. So there's a lot of these in civilian hands now.
Okay.
And people are enjoying them.
Nice.
Remember, American made.
Bro.
This is a MR 762A1. I don't know anything about guns, so I don't know what the hell this is. I'm pretty sure this is a gun. This is a gun.
I'm a big NRA proponent. I'm a life member. The timing sucks, but I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. You don't need a moral compass. You can just wake up and say, it is what it is.
This doesn't have anything. There's no connection between this and what happened in Uvalde. There
Zero
just isn't.
connection.
What do you think that we can do to stop mass shootings like that?
Oh, that's
I think it goes back to the basic family. I'm 66 years old. When I was in high school, we used to take our shotguns to high school to show our coaches if we got a new shotgun. Then we'd
Yeah?
go bird hunting after school.
Uh-huh.
There was never a school shooting.
Bird hunting with your shotgun? Okay.
When I was in high school. What's different from then to now? What's changed?
What do you think changed?
It's the family. Look how many single parent families there are. Just go to Chicago. Look at the amount of crime in Chicago. I mean, they have 40, 50 gun shootings a weekend.
I guess the difference would be that, like in Chicago, a lot of that violence is gang related. We're talking about kind of lone wolf shooters walking into an elementary school with an AR-15.
It's troubled kids. I'm not
Troubled
a big
kids.
gamer, but
Whoa,
I've
it's
seen
the
a lot of
games.
video games.
Yo, the games are for real. You know, they are slapping.
There's a lot of them that are just shoot 'em up, blow 'em up. You know, it doesn't look real.
My favorite games are the shoot 'em up, blow 'em up kind.
So how do you think we can rebuild the American family?
That's got to be done at the street level. Single parents are running 30-40% of the households. It takes two people to raise a kid.
Why does anybody need to have, an AR-15?
Good question.
Guns have been around here since the beginning of America. So,
but back in the day, it was like muskets and stuff.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. A gun's a gun's a gun. It doesn't matter if it shoots 30 bullets a minute or half a bullet. One bullet every 5 minutes.
What do you think about increased background checks?
I think the background checks is adequate now.
Hey! Right there, next, please. Across the street.
What do you think could have been done to prevent what happened in Uvalde a few days ago?
We could have banned assault weapons 20 years ago.
The murder at Uvalde, Texas will tell
Based.
everyone that we need to have gun under control. We don't take guns away from people, but we have to have a proper background checks. That is the only way we can avoid these kind of murders of children. You cannot say, well, we hire police or these are mental people. Abbott, he said that there's a mental problems with the United States.
Anybody who shoots somebody else has a mental health challenge.
What about the rest of the world? Do they have mental problems too? No, they don't.
No,
right? So
well,
that's why,
they actually
that's
do.
why we are here.
Actually, lots of people have mental health all over the world.
Better that the government knows that people do have ARs. Governments
But that's not why this is happening.
have killed 260 million people in the 20th century.
Wait,
what? Stalin, Mao, whatever.
Wait,
people
what?
Say, oh, that'll never happen here. We all live in a bubble. We are the most privileged country on earth.
Wait,
The homeless
what
guys
is this guy saying? School shootings are okay because Mao?
here to fucking Bill Gates. Oh, crap, where's I going with this? What was I going to say? Okay, governments, this, that. Okay,
Oh
you know
my
what EDP
God.
is?
Yes.
I'm the guy that caught him.
Wait, you're the guy who caught EDP?
Oh, it is!
So how do you think that we can prevent mass shootings like the one that occurred a couple days ago?
The reality is, there's Salvador Ramos is out there. The reality is, there's Peyton, whatever the hell his name was, Adam Lanzas, yada yada. People will be uncomfortable if there's teachers armed in schools.
Yeah, we need more guns around the schools.
Nice.
We protect our
Good
president
cut.
with guns. We protect our congressmen with guns. We protect our governors with guns. Our celebrities, sporting events, jewelry stores, banks. And then we protect our children with a sign that says, "This is a gun-free zone."
I see that you have Rosa Parks here. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I met Rosa Parks. She's anti-abortion. She's a good friend to MLK. He's
What is
anti-abortion.
happening?
He
What
was
is happening?
anti-abortion. So, case closed.
Whoa, case closed,
Mike
everybody.
Lindell My Pillows attached to your belt loops on either side.
Yeah, Mike's a friend of mine. I've
This
only met
is
him once in
fucking
person, but
wild.
he knows what I've been doing for him.
He sounds like a good friend.
Yeah, he's a good friend, and this is a little bit more firm, and they're the best pillows I've ever had.
Which one do you prefer?
I prefer the softer one, the medium fill. The standard's a little tough on my neck.
Did you enjoy his pillows prior to his endorsement of Donald Trump?
Well, they've been around for a long time. I couldn't afford them. He cut the price in half now. Here's a tip.
Wow.
Don't order them through the mail, because they come wrapped up with no box. Go to Walmart, get them in a box. The box is going to be worth more than the pillow.
Why?
Wait, why?
Because it's classic. I'm getting ready to go over to the communists that are packing guns.
Do you think it's smart to engage with them?
I screamed profanity at them and it made them angry. They can't tolerate freedom of speech, but they expect me to tolerate them threatening me.
What is your favorite piece of profanity to hurl at an Antifa BLM soldier?
Fat baby butcher bitches. Fat baby butcher
What
bitches.
the fuck?
Well, you're going to go do it again?
Yeah, I'm gonna go do it again right
All right,
now.
well, I'll see you over there, man.
I think there's literally, yeah, the earth is, oh, these are myths. Republicans are, okay. Yeah,
Antifa communist bastards, take your pillows away.
yes, and if you're listening closely, he's clearly admitting they're not the best pillows he's ever had. He's like, the standard one is bad and wrong. I had to use the soft. It's like, he's got a very stiff neck. Yeah, the fat booty bitches.
Godspeed, soldier. You're doing the right thing.
I had 150 of them screaming in my face
Whoa.
on the 14th of this month.
Oh
I
my
met Rosa
God.
Parks. I don't give a fuck. You don't know shit. You don't either. Look at you, dumbass, and you're proud of your stupidity. You fucking fascist piece of shit.
This is such a good fucking cut. Oh my god. Oh wow. Wow. Immediately gets into a fight. This is so low rent. He's got the bug and he lost his My Pillow bug. Yo, this footage is fucking baller. Oh, he keeps that.
Do you think there's any type of common ground that could be reached?
Yeah, there's a little gap. I think they could change some of the requirements.
Wow.
You know,
This is one of the better ones he's done. This fucking editing has been amazing.
back in the old days, we didn't have the same type of weapons. So they could change the law and make it 21.
Do you think that kid should have been able to buy an AR?
I don't know. Somebody worked on the kid's brain. They worked on that one in Buffalo also. He drove 300 miles.
Somebody worked on the kid's brain?
They shoot black people at a store. He probably could have drove a few miles within the city he was already in.
I guess the main difference is like the dude in Buffalo was motivated by like racial hatred, whereas it seems like the guy.
It was only racial hatred because the guy was white.
I think he had the N-word written on the gun, and he published like a big manifesto of talking about.
abortions you motherfuckers had.
Well, that's what they're telling us.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know.
You can always just retreat one more step. Well, that's what people are saying, I guess, you know.
The
Holy
facts
fuck.
that I hadn't seen them.
I haven't seen the facts.
Why would this kid put a manifesto together anyway?
Chuck Schumer didn't want us to pass laws to protect schools. He doesn't want cops in schools. He doesn't want to harden the target. He wants your kids to be killed. That's why the
What?
Democrats advocate for murdering children in the womb. They don't care about life.
Wow, you cannot fix that person. Any person dating them, you cannot fix that person.
The NRA has a fucking thing to do with it. You idiot. When did the NRA kill somebody? You're an idiot.
I know who you are.
Dude, what the heck? I
Wow.
want to talk to you. Hell
Yes.
yeah, cool. So how do you feel about what's going on right now with them over there?
I don't not like them. They're human beings. I love everybody. Okay, they have
Lies.
souls. You're
Lies.
an idiot. But it's just sad that you're confused. Yeah. The problem isn't the guns. The problem is a people problem. Okay. Ever since 1970.
Yo, he just has got no chill. He meets a fan, and within I guess a week or two of this interview, just absolutely destroys him.
I know who you are. Dude, what the heck? I want to talk to you.
When he watches this, his face is gonna fall so hard.
Cool. So how do you feel about what's going on right now with them over there?
I don't not like them. They're human beings. I love everybody. Okay, they have souls. You're an idiot. But it's just sad because they're confused. The problem isn't the guns. The problem is a people problem, okay? Ever since 1973, we legalized abortion. I think that was a real downfall in American society because we've murdered millions of children. Why is it okay to murder children in the womb, but not okay to murder kids in school? I know this isn't your usual thing. You usually just let people talk, but I want to listen to what you think.
Well, I'm curious if you think there's any common ground that can be found between...
See, that's a very complicated thing to talk about, and I think there is room
That's
for
a weird
that,
cut.
okay? I think we can have mental health evaluations, and I think, what was it, Dad? What was the statistics like for the adult population?
It's about 25%.
Look at this guy. He's all Mr. Reasonable, eh?
Population in America suffer from some form of mental illness.
Yeah. I think people in general should be evaluated and should have help. Whenever you go into a gun store, you have to fill out a paperwork called a 4473 and say, hey, they're going to run a background check. This 4473, this document, it's a document to look at your background, okay? It's not going to know the heart of man. We need to better keep up with the health of our people because we're suffering people, okay? We have more access to hardcore porn on the internet, whittling down the psyche of humans. And
Oh, this boy leaves room for Christ when he hugs women. He does the Christian side hug.
Really making us just sick people. You can't legislate morality, and you can't tell what you are really going to do. At the end of the day, we live in a free society, and we have these rights and privileges, and that's what happens. You know, they don't have school shootings in China because you can't own firearms in China.
Do you know that the most popular porn category in America right now is incest?
Wait, Dan, do you not know Andrew Callahan?
No idea, no.
Isn't that insane?
Why? Why is that the case?
Oh, wait, what was that he just said?
Society, and we have these rights and privileges, and that's what happens. You know, they don't have school shootings in China because you can't own firearms in China.
Do you know that the most popular porn category in America right now is incest?
I had no idea, no.
Isn't that insane?
Why?
That's weird.
Why is that the case?
Tonight, leggings, shapewear.
That was a weird segue. As far as I know, the incest thing is just because of shock value. And then it started trending, and then everybody jumped onto the trend, and then it blew up from there.
Handbags came down the runway, but this is no ordinary fashion show.
Discreetly designed, so
Oh
no one
my
can tell if you have a
God,
weapon.
stop.
The concealed carry fashion show targets what the NRA calls its fastest growing demographic, women.
Yikes. Yikes. What is happening? Oh my God. What the fuck? Oh my God, all the models look like they've come from Walmart. Oh my God, what is happening? The gun food? Yeah, America's broken. Stop. Don't tell me the gun's on the child. It's in the kid's diaper. Yo, you're gonna blow your dick off. Don't. So funny. I don't know, man. I don't think this is good. I think this is real life. This is like the worst part of beauty pageants combined with American gun culture. The editing's also been very, very rough, man. Just like hard hitting. Sheesh. Yeah, now after.
Alright, we just arrived in Uvalde, Texas.
Really puts that like parents interview into perspective about like going in and getting her kids out. Like all this gun culture, all this machismo, all this bravado, and yeah, cops couldn't go in to save kids. Amazing.
Which, as most people know, is the site of the most recent mass shooting that took place around a week ago where 19 students and 2 teachers were killed at Robb Elementary School. This is the Wendy's where the shooter worked. Apparently he used to work the graveyard shift at the drive-thru window until about 2.5 weeks ago. He quit abruptly once he had saved up about $4,000, which was enough to buy 2 assault rifles, ammunition, and a bulletproof vest. This is the store where the school shooter picked up the guns and ammunition that he used in the shooting. He actually ordered the guns online, but this was like a transfer store where they shipped it here and then he picked it up. This is where the shooter drove his pickup truck through a guardrail and crashed out, like right here. Got out of the car, went over to the funeral home here, shot at a few people, but then didn't hit anybody. Then he walked over into this building, and that was the site of all this.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, he's the first one
You
who's
go to
actually
sleep seeing their faces. You
put it
wake
together
up
that way.
seeing their faces. What can we tell them? We don't want to scare them.
lunch lady.
And the other poor little innocents that didn't make it. You know, their parents were going crazy looking for them. I'm sure they're in a lot of pain.
And my husband was here getting the mail when he heard gunshots, but he's having a hard time because he just wished he could have done something to prevent it. Our community will never be the same.
Si decimos que no hemos pecado, le hacemos a él mentiroso y su palabra no está en nosotros. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Damn. Imagine like bringing your camera in
She
to a prayer circle.
loved Guns N' Roses. She loved that song, Sweet Child of Mine.
She's a beautiful little girl.
Oh man, I cannot deal.
I liked her song. That was her favorite song. She loved Guns N' Roses, and she would
Hundreds of thousands of people.
she would dance around her room singing "Sweet Child of Mine."
I love this country, and I'm so grateful for everything it's given me and all the
Yikes.
opportunity that I recognize I wouldn't have if I was somewhere else. That's not lost on me. And at the same time,
is this man got Captain America's booty?
This should encourage us to want to be better, and we're not.
Captain America's ass?
Not.
Think AR should be banned?
Fuck yes. There is absolutely no reason for that.
Mind you,
he's a lib.
I have a pistol, but I don't think that a semi-automatic weapon is necessary in our country. I just don't see the need. I don't see the purpose. I think in this case, I know the bodies of the children were shredded as a result of that. What do we need that for? I don't understand it.
They say that like having those high capacity assault rifles are the final line of defense against a tyrannical government.
Oh please. I think we're already facing a tyrannical government when we have things like this happen.
Yeah.
Well, there's no excuse for this.
Yeah.
I don't care what they say.
It's inverted. That's the kind of thing I'm still wrapping my head around about America, is that the tyranny is inverted. It's not about the state inflicting injury to life and limb. It's about the state empowering other citizens to harm others, a la Texas abortion law, like that bounty system, or empowering the police to not intervene so that other citizens can do the violence, or the propagation of stochastic terrorism from Fox News and Tucker Carlson. Like, that's the part I think I'm starting to realize, is that America isn't going to devolve into a traditional authoritarian state. I think it will devolve into an inverted totalitarian state. Like, you may have the trappings of it. There might be a one state party if things go really bad in the midterms or in 2024. But even when that happens, what will be done is creating legal structures, political structures, cultural structures that permit citizen on citizen violence, and then like stepping back and letting the brown shirts do their thing, kind of stuff.
They're wrong.
Unless it happens to one of their own, then they're not going to do anything. You know. And Ted Cruz, he's a sorry person for
position that he holds. I'm sorry, but it is such a truth. But we're not supposed to say anything?
No, I'm not saying that.
If he can say what he wants, I can say what I want. They should have rushed in. That's their
should have
job.
rushed in.
What, almost an hour before they decided to do anything? No, that's
wild.
unheard of. It really is.
Breaking news in the investigation to the school shooting tonight. Texas DPS is telling us the Uvalde CISD police chief has not been cooperating with investigators. On Friday, DPS Director Steve McGraw said the school district police chief was the incident commander at Robb Elementary School who made the call to wait to take down the gunman.
If they had, they would probably save several of those lives. It's ridiculous.
This is fucking bullshit. Like, this is preventable, and this is absolutely unacceptable. When we talk about how great this country is, this is unacceptable.
Unfortunately, like so many things, in a couple more months it'll blow over like this never happened, you know?
No, I don't
Can we
think
do
so.
like a reminder?
I don't think this is going to blow over anytime soon.
Then
You think it'll blow over?
the audacity of the people that went to the NRA convention in Houston, for them to say that they don't need to make any changes? What's wrong with them?
Wow, that's where he ends it. That was incredible. That was actually probably one of his best. I don't know why it's not blowing up like it normally does, but dang, that was really good. Okay, I think that's where I'm gonna call it. Bit of a shorter stream. I got a lot of homework to catch up on. I almost canceled today. And my mom's coming into town, so no stream tomorrow. Just hosting, taking care of me, ma'am. But I hope you have a lovely weekend. It's beautiful out, so I might go to a park and do some karate or some slacklining to kind of get some exercise in. But otherwise, I hope you have a lovely day. I'll see you later, Kensaquos. And support the stream, like, follow, tell people about it. I'm hoping to get to a nice regular schedule in July, and maybe up my art game. Get my niece to help make some lovely art for the channel. But yeah, I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.